Hi everyone, and welcome to the CDD Vault Activity Module Feature Tour. Activity is a core component of the CDD Vault informatics platform because it allows you to seamlessly associate multiple sets of assay data back to your particular tested batches and compounds. The idea behind activity is that when you have a category of assay to run, so if you're running a specific secondary CRC assay or an inhibition data assay or ADME, PK, tox, really any type of assay, an end user would come into the system, create the assay and its framework, and then subsequent data loads would utilize a preset framework. So you create the assay once, and then every time new data is generated for that particular assay, you would upload what we call a run or a new experiment to that assay. This allows you to set a framework for data capture that everyone in your group can follow when depositing data into a particular assay. The actual types of data that you can capture in assays is very flexible. So there are three categories. The first category is data in, data out. If you provide us with text, images, file attachments, links, numbers, or controlled vocabulary pick list items, we will display those items to you right here in the search report. The second category of data is where we perform a calculation based on numerical information contained in CDD. So in this case, I'm auto-calculating a average percent inhibition with average standard deviation and replicate number for this particular batch of this compound. But you can get much more complicated going into such things as clearance calculation based on all of the data contained in your database. The third category of data is where you provide us with some sort of X and Y parameter, for instance, concentration and percent inhibition, and we fit that to a curve and generate some sort of interceptor value based on the raw data that you have provided us with. In addition, if in this case for dose response data, once the curve is generated, if you notice that there is some sort of outlier, end users can click Flag Outliers and Override, which opens up the plotting application, and you can live flag data points as outliers and even override specific curves if they do not fit within your QC parameters. Once you have finished this quality control step, you can save changes. You'll see that the curve is refit. The data point is still communicated, but it has an X on it saying that it's not included in this calculation. And now if we go back to the data table, you'll notice that that data point has been flagged and all the calculations have been updated thereafter. So this keeps everyone on your team on the same page with any sort of outlier flagging, so there's no guesswork. In order to build this type of table for either SAR or other sort of data reporting, you would scroll up to the top, and then it's a hypothesis-driven search. The first step would be selecting a project or multiple projects, and this is because every piece of data, batch, molecule, and person belongs to certain numbers of projects. So depending on what projects you're in, you'll see different sets of data, and many of our customers utilize projects as a way to collaborate with external partners such as CROs, so that you give your CRO direct access to your vault, only access to one project, and then they can actually deposit your assay data and your activity data following the framework that you have set. Once you've selected your projects to search in, then you have your protocol search section. That's where you can say, I'm looking for compounds in or not in particular assays. And then remember, every time data are uploaded, it goes into a run. So you can zoom in on a specific run from a specific person or cast a wider net search. In addition, any text or numeric-based data that you actually uploaded can be set into a query. For instance, you can say, only show me compounds with a percent inhibition average of 85 to 95% in this assay. You can also add terms using the and or operator to build multi-parameter search queries based on activity. For chemists, you can incorporate structure-based querying when building out SAR tables, and you can even incorporate any sort of molecule or batch level metadata into your query in order to pull up compounds of interest. Once this report is generated, all of your activity data is displayed off to the right, and you can customize this report to turn on or off additional activity data from the dose response or inhibition assay. So for instance, if I wanted to look at the R² of the particular curve that was generated, I could turn that on, update my report, and then CDD Vault would automatically update with that new parameter. These reports can actually be saved, so you can save these customized dashboards, either sharing them with everybody in your project or keeping them for yourself. And the idea behind a saved search is we are actually saving the table layout and the query for you to continuously run over and over again and see new hits based on certain activity thresholds. In addition, if you want to know more about a particular compound, like what assays it has been tested in, one of the ways you can do that is simply clicking into the molecule ID in your database, and that will take you here to the molecule overview page, from which you can click on the Protocols tab in order to get a high-level overview of, in this case, the 30 protocols that have data for this particular molecule. If you click into the specific protocol name, you'll get a high-level overview of the specific run date or upload of data and some information about the results. If you had further questions, you could always click into the protocol details to learn more about the specific protocol itself, or even click into a specific run date to further investigate that data set. Thank you so much for listening.